College football, week 9, best bets are on the way. As always, it's Austin joined by Logan. We're going to go through some of the biggest games on Saturday, as well as give you our favorite picks of the weekend that might not be in those big games, but are really good picks that we like out there. Before we dive into a recap of last week, Logan, I need to address the elephant in the room. Austin, what the heck's going on with your hair? I would like to know, I just came back from a Halloween party. I'm dressed as Shaggy, so I had a wig on. Didn't want to dress up for you guys on Shaggy, but I'll give you guys a like goal. If this video gets 500 likes, I will dress up as Shaggy next week, which we'll record on Halloween. So there you go. 500 likes. I will become Shaggy next week. Not sure I'll do the voice the whole time, but I'll certainly give that to you guys. 500 likes. There you go. But Logan, let's dive into a recap of last week. 3-1 for me. 2-2 for you. What was your bad beat? I know you had one that was really bad. I just don't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
wasn't it Clemson for you? Clemson?
It was Clemson getting backdoored. Just hate to see it. That's college football for you.
Tough, man. That's how it be. This week, we're doing a little bit of a changes of a pace here. We're going to go through some of the biggest games. We're going to give you our official picks in those ones. So we're going to track those. Like if Logan and I are betting on some of those games, we might as well track them towards our record. So we're going to dive into the first game of the slate, a big one, as Notre Dame travels to take on Navy. Now, this is technically a neutral site game as we're in East Rutherford MetLife Stadium where the Jets and Giants play. Right now, you see Notre Dame laying a big number, 14. The over-under sitting at 51.5. Logan, you think Navy can continue their undefeated streak? Big underdogs here. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I think this game's kind of priced as a double-digit spread for a reason. I'm not really buying into Navy. Good story, but I'll take the Irish and I'll lay the points with Notre Dame. Look, both these two teams, we got to talk about too. Blake Horvath. I mean, this guy's a baller. I do not want to discredit what Navy's done at all. That being said, I just think this is too much of a task to really be able to compare Notre Dame and Notre Dame's rushing attack, which is a lot better than Navy's. Like Notre Dame's 216.5 rushing yards per game. That's 12th in the nation. Does Navy have the athletes to be able to stop that? I'm just not quite sure. I think up front is really where this game's decided because we see historically the service academies when they face one of these, Power 5, Power 4 schools, whatever you want to say, this is just kind of where they're really tested because they don't have the athletes in the trenches. Also, Notre Dame's run defense, they're pretty elite, only allowing a little over 100 yards on average, and that's what Navy wants to do. Navy's going to run the ball. Notre Dame's defense also 8th defensively in points allowed. I mean, that's just elite unit. Navy's going to have a really tough time moving the ball, and if you're having a tough time moving the ball, I think you're going to have a tough time to cover. So give me Notre Dame, and I'll lay the points.
Yeah, I hate fading you on the first game, but I'm actually on Navy. I'll take them plus 14. Notre Dame's a fraud. Get them out of my face. Riley Leonard's not good. They're lucky they faced some pretty bad programs right now. I'm not a fan of Riley Leonard. I feel like the only way I see Notre Dame scoring in the red zone is him running the football in. I don't know if that's going to work against a team like Navy that can kind of game plan for a running QB. And I'm Riley Leonard obviously not doing what Blake Horvath is doing, but I'm going to buy into the midshipman hype. I think this is a massive game for them. This is the biggest game they've had on their schedule, and I think they're going to show up. Call me crazy, but I think they're showing up in East Rutherford, and I think they're going to try to make a name for themselves. Everyone's counting them out. They'll know there'll be 14-point underdogs. I like the Navy midshipmen, and I hope they win outright because that would be electric. But give me them plus 14, Logan. We're different. We're different on the first game, so neither of us. Well, one of us is going to sweep, probably, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Next game, we have Missouri Tigers, who are down a couple guys in this game. Brady Cook, their starting QB, is out. He got banged up in their last game, and he's officially out as they go to travel against and take on the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa. I imagine Brady Cook's news is the reason we're sitting at a 17-point spread here. Obviously, I don't need to tell people Bama has not looked great the past few weeks, coming off a stinker in Tennessee. You think this is a good bounce back spot for him, Logan? 17's a lot of points, though, and for a Mizzou team that's, sure, they're missing their star QB, but their defense has been pretty good this season.
And it's because of that I'm actually gleaning in the under this one. I think the under, you might get 51.5. It's going to be in the low 50s by the game time. I just think that's just too many points. We talk about what you just said, Brady Cook likely out. I think ruled out. Drew Pine is going to start from Missouri. That offense looks a lot different without Brady Cook back there. Also, Nate Noel isn't expected to play for Missouri as well. That's a big loss. Not really talked about as much as Brady Cook. But on the other side, so like Missouri's missing a lot of their key offensive players. Alabama's defense, pretty solid unit still. Missouri's defense, one of their better units, what's keeping them afloat this year. And Alabama's offense, what did we see from them last week? Milroe just took a big step back. I mean, he's regressing right before our eyes. that game was on a silver platter for Alabama, and they could have taken it, could have won on a big road game in Neyland. They didn't do it. And it really was that offense not looking sharp at all. I just think if you look at this one, this is an under type game. I do not want to lay that fat spread with Alabama because their offense is just not elite right now. They are not clicking. So give me the under. I think that's the best bet in this one.
Yeah, I like the under. I won't tell you. I'll take actually Missouri plus the 17. I think people still think Alabama has Nick Saban as head coach, and they're just expecting coming off bad games. They're just like, all right, well, Nick Saban's going to slap them silly and get them amped up. Nick Saban, arguably the best college football coach of all time. Kalen DeBoer is not that. And I think you're kind of seeing that before your eyes. I don't think he is able to rally the troops just like Nick Saban was. I mean, Nick Saban is a stickler. He will get on everyone if they're doing something wrong. And they've been doing a lot of things wrong the last few weeks. I don't think it just miraculously fixes itself in 1 week. 17 is a big number for based on how this offense has looked. I think Mizzou's defense, to what you're saying, keeps them in this game. Drew Pine doesn't need to be great, but we just need a couple touchdowns here, and I think we can cover them. So I'll take Mizzou plus 17. I don't love it as much as I probably love Navy, but I still think Mizzou can keep it close in a lower scoring game. Next one, we have Texas coming off a loss. Last week, I had Georgia plus 5.5. Might have been the freest wager of the weekend. Never even had to sweat that one. Could have taken the money line. Texas going on the road looking for a bounce back. And Vandy, the 25th overall ranked Commodores. 18.5 is a huge number. Diego Pavia, he's looked really good this season, especially as a dog. Logan, I want to buy into Vandy on the plus 18.5. Little Birdie told me that you got a little sharp, little stat nugget out there, so I'll let you give that to the people.
Yeah, so the full game in this one, yeah, I might lean Vandy. But the stat out there that, I did a little bit of research to find is that Vandy's actually led all three of their SEC games so far at the half, including 23-14 against Alabama. I'm gonna go ahead and take Vandy on the first half spread plus 10.5. So that could be a potentially sharp angle. I mean, maybe this is just one of those teams. If you look at the full game spread, I think it's one of those Vandy plays them close and then just kind of the wheels fall off, and that's why Texas pulls away late. So if you're giving me 10.5 points in the first half to not get blown out really at home just in the first half, I'll go ahead and take that with the Commodores in this one. I think they're going to be able to hang around Texas in the first half. Happens in the second half, maybe the better athletes for Texas pull away. I think if we're just looking at Vandy also, they're really good on third down. Diego Pavia is that guy. I mean, he's an improviser type quarterback. He's able to make the plays when he needs to on the ground and through the air. And also Longhorn safety Andrew Makuba, he's questionable. I mean, he's one of their better defensive backs as well. Don't let that injury go unnoticed. They're already kind of thin defensively in the defensive back area. I think Diego Pavia and this Vandy offense can exploit them. So give me Vandy on the first half spread.
I love that sharp angle, but I like the over. And I think that goes hand in hand with Vandy. I think they can put up some points here. We think about that Texas offense. That really did not look good last week. But Georgia's one of the best defenses in college football. I think they were just humbled a little bit there. But coming into this matchup, their offensive line should be locked in. I think Quinn Ewers has a big game. And I just think they're able to go up and down on the Vandy defense. But I also think Vandy will be able to put up some points. They kind of didn't look great last week. But I think they'll bounce back here. We've seen them put up points against Alabama. We've seen them do it against Missouri. So when they face those better defenses that you would say, they've been able to put up points. Maybe you could say they were saving some of their plays last week. I don't know, but I think they're able to put up points. But on the same side, we've seen teams be able to put up points on this defense. So I like the over 51.5. I really think that one's going to soar over. We could see both these teams easily score 20, 30 points by themselves. So I like the over in that game. And the final game we're going to talk about before we get into some individual picks where we're just looking at different games, because there's a lot of games, obviously, every Saturday. LSU going into College Station. Right now, you basically got to pick them. Texas A&M is minus 1.5. Minus 125 on the money line, over under 54.5. I'm going to take LSU, Logan. I'll go first here. I have said many, many times, I refuse to buy into Connor Wegman. I say Texas A&M, that looks sharp. You want to get in on them. Connor Wegman sucks. I'll take LSU, a team that I think is the better offense. Defenses, sure, you could give that to Texas A&M, but hey, defense can't score you points. So I like LSU. I think they roll over. I think they get the win. I don't know when, but I just like their QB play, and that's when a lot of these games come down to that fourth quarter. Give me LSU, the Tigers. Go Tigers, baby. I like them on the money line. But Logan, what do you like here?
I hear your angle, and I think if I were to pick a side, it would be LSU. but I kind of like the over. I think we're seeing, an over in the low 50s in this one. Now, when these two teams match up, let's see if your memory goes back as far as mine does, because I remember that crazy, crazy overtime
Oh,
game.
yeah.
The
7 overtimes.
yeah, the 7 overtime, the 70 something, the 70 something. Now, wouldn't that be cool if we got anything near that? But it's probably not going to be. It still could be a sneaky shootout, though. You're not high on Connor Wegman. I understand that, right? He didn't look great first half of the season. He's been better as of late, though. I don't think you're giving him enough credit. He's kind of
Yes.
he's kind of integrated himself in that offense a little bit more. And Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback for LSU, he's pretty solid too. They have these two teams have sneaky good passing attacks, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, they'll run the ball, but each of these teams will. But I think there's a lot of air yards in this one. LSU's sixth in the nation in passing yards. I mean, that's what they're going to do with Nussmeier. LSU also averages 34.17 points per game. Texas A&M averages 31. It's got two teams averaging in the 30s. I don't really think defense is going to dominate this game. I think it's going to be up tempo, quick scoring, getting a lot of quick play, long play touchdowns. I like the over.
Hey, I might have to tell you on that over pick. Now is the portion of the video where Logan and I dive into our favorite picks of the weekend. And I'll start with my first one, Logan. And we'll go back and forth, and then we'll get to our player props, where, as always, if our props sweep, we give away $50. I swear we keep going 1-1. This week could be the week. My first pick, Duke, Blue Devils. Give me a plus 13.5, minus 125. We've seen SMU. They have lit up scoreboards recently. The last 4 games, 66, 42, 34, 40 points. The over-under for this game, 48.5. They basically hit that over by themselves the last few weeks. To me, that signifies, hey, we think this Duke Blue Devils defense is legit, and they've looked really good. There's a reason they're 6-1. It's not a lot of this offense. The offense isn't doing them a ton of help. I think it's that defense, and that defense will lock in. They'll give them a shot at winning this game, and I don't need them to win. I need to have plus 13.5. I think Malik Murphy's able to do a little bit of something, keep this offense on the field. They want to run the football. It's not going to be a lot of deep passes coming your way, but they can convert on third down, which I think they can. I'm not high on this SMU defense. I like their chances to at least keep this one within a touchdown. Heck, they could keep it within 10 points, and we still cash plus 13.5 at home. Duke, I'll roll with them. I like Duke as my first pick, separate from the main picks. Technically, my 5th pick of the video. I like Duke, the Blue Devils, plus 13.5. Logan, I'm throwing it to you for your first pick of the weekend. What you got?
Yeah, for my first pick, I'm going to some Big Ten football. I'm taking the Golden Gophers on the spread -4. I like Minnesota, and I like them in this spot against Maryland for a few reasons. One, Billy Edwards. He's just a quarterback for Maryland. He's been lighting it up through the air, but he's now going to face a kind of stingy Minnesota defense, 4th in the nation in passing yards allowed. One of the better units in terms of the nation in their secondary. Hopefully, they are able to contain Billy Edwards. Also, Minnesota allowed just 3 touchdown passes on the year, 2nd in picking off in interceptions as well. 5th in the nation in pass efficiency defense. So again, I think Minnesota has the defense able to contain Maryland. Maryland also doesn't really have a running game, 93rd in rushing yards per game. I think they're going to be kind of screwed there, for lack of a better word. I just think Minnesota is going to have their way. Minnesota also with Max Brosmer, he's completing a high efficiency of passes, 68%. We like to see that. I think the home field in this one, in that Minnesota crowd, it's not the elite crowd, but I think it's good enough. I think they'll come out and play with some energy against Maryland. I don't see Maryland stealing this game in Minnesota, so I like Minnesota as my first pick. Austin, throwing it back to you, though.
Yeah, I got an under. I'm diversifying my card. I got an under here, and it's a low one. Northwestern Iowa, under 39.5. Last week, I went into a Big Ten game, took the under, and then Michigan-Illinois one, a nasty one at 44.5, sweat-free. I'm taking the under here. These are two offenses that stick. You've seen Iowa kind of had some high-scoring games recently. I think last week they gave up 32 points. That defense will be locked in. Northwestern's offense sucks. So does Iowa's. Both of these two offenses are really bad. We look at each of these QBs, 150. That's their passing yards line. One of them is less than 150. So not expecting a lot of passing yards. So it's basically going to come down to, can you stop the run? And I think both these two defenses can stop the run. That's really the over-under comes down to that. Can we stop the run, force them the 2nd, 3rd and long? He'll get off the field. Last year, these two teams played 10-7 was the final score. I know Iowa, the wagon that was unders for all their games last year. That's what it was. Hasn't been the case this year. I think this is a classic a little under where it's like, geez, it's 3-0 at halftime. What are we doing, guys? It could be one of those types of games. So I like Northwestern and Iowa under 39.5. I think this is an absolute pillow fight. I'll take the under in that game. But Logan, I need another pick from you. What you got?
Yeah, I do like your under pick there. Now I have another spread pick, and this is going with an underdog. I'm taking Wisconsin. I'm taking the Badgers +7 in this one. Yeah, you might have 6.5 on your book. Again, I'll buy up the little extra point. I think it's worth it in college football. We've seen them be sharp on spreads in certain spots. Now, Wisconsin playing a huge matchup against Penn State. We know that. Penn State, if we want to talk about this one, it could be a little bit of a look-ahead game. Why? Because Penn State plays Ohio State next week in Happy Valley. That is a huge game. That is a season-type defining game. Can you overlook this Wisconsin team in Camp Randall? I could certainly see it coming. Wisconsin's passing defense, I mean, they're only allowing 162.8 yards on average, just 100 yards across their last 3 games. So they've really tightened it up over the course of the season. I think Wisconsin's defense is going to keep them in the game. And Penn State and Drew Allar, they're not necessarily the explosive offense that I think a lot of those Penn State fans wanted to see. Nittany Lions also allowing over 400 yards, almost 8 yards per carry on the ground. You were able to run a little bit on this Penn State team. Hopefully Wisconsin can lean into their run game and get it done on the ground. I think just in this spot, I would put Penn State on upset alert. I really do think they are one of those teams that could overlook their opponent, overlook Wisconsin, and Luke Fickell. That he's going to have those boys ready. It is going to be a great atmosphere in Camp Randall. They're going to be jumping around, and hopefully the Badgers are going to come out on top. I hope they win this game outright. But if you're giving me a full touchdown in a game that I think they can go one possession after another with, I'll take Wisconsin plus the points as my second pick. Austin, throwing back to you for your prop, though.
Yep, it's prop time where Logan and I give out our favorite props of the weekend. As always, if they both hit, we go 2-0 on the props. We will give away $50. All you do is like and subscribe. Simple as that. So double little incentive. If you click that like button, you could win $50. You could also get me to dress as Shaggy next week. Hey, win-win. Mine is going to close to my dear heart. UCF BYU. I'm taking BYU's quarterback Jake Retzlaff over 213.5 passing yards. Looking at this spread in this BYU UCF game, you're like, this doesn't feel weird. This feels a little odd. BYU, an undefeated team, on the road, they're underdogs against UCF, a team that doesn't even have a quarterback. We have Jacurri Brown, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He can't even throw. He throws for like 80 yards a game, if that. It's just running the football. Yet BYU finds themselves as underdogs, so a 3-4 UCF team. As a UCF fan, I'd love to see that. I'm not going to get involved in that spread, but to me, that makes me think BYU could be trailing here, and if they're trailing, they're going to have to pass it a little bit, and I'm not a big fan of this UCF secondary. We've seen, actually, Jake Retzlaff, he's landed on a 218 passing yards on the dot 3 straight weeks. I've never seen anything like it where he's on the same number 3 straight weeks. Hey, 218 is all we need for this one, but I could see him going over that line. I could see him throwing it 30, 35 times here. UCF, their secondary hasn't been great. Sometimes in the second half, if they're leading, their offense just becomes super stagnant and they're just running the ball. And next thing you know, it's 3rd and 9 because it's very easy to know they're just running it. So maybe Retzlaff starts slow. And in the second half, they're down by 7-10 points, and they're just throwing it. And I think they'll have some success throwing the football. So Jake Retzlaff, my favorite prop of the weekend, over 213.5 passing yards. But Logan, you got a passing yards over. What is it?
Yeah, last week, Tyler Shuck delivered a great, easy passing over. Hopefully, your guy paired with mine can get it done. I'm taking Cincinnati's Brendan Sorsby over 243.5 passing yards. I like Sorsby in this matchup, though, because he's facing Colorado. Now, this is a huge game, obviously, for Cincinnati, too, because you want to beat Colorado. You want to beat the media darling, the Coach Prime Buffs. That's how it's going to be. He's hitting 67% of his passes, which you like to see that. And also, Cincinnati averaging 291 passing yards per game. That's 21st in the nation. Going up against Colorado's defense, it's giving up 226 passing yards per game, 86th in the nation. So, matchup of styles, I think Sorsby has some success through the air in this one. I think to keep up also with Shedeur Sanders and that very explosive, high-powered Colorado offense, Cincinnati's going to need to throw the ball. So I do like Brendan Sorsby as my player prop of the week. I think he has a big game, and I think he keeps Cincinnati in that game, maybe even wins it outright. Love the Bearcats. Hopefully we can go 2-0 on our props this week.
Yeah, and so I'll throw up a recap of all my picks on the screen. We obviously talked about those 4 big games, so you'll see those there. The ones outside of those 4 games, I'll talk about Duke plus 13.5, Northwestern Iowa under 39.5, and then Jake Retzlaff over 213.5 passing yards. So in total, Logan and I each have 7 picks. I'll let him rattle off his additional 3 in just a moment, but that's a 7-0 card. But Logan, what are your favorite? What's your full card?
I love that energy. Let's have a big weekend for sure. Now, in addition to those big games we talked about, I'm taking Minnesota on the spread, laying the 4 points with the Golden Gophers. I'm taking Wisconsin, the Badgers, +7, and then we're taking Brendan Sorsby over in passing yards. Hopefully, we can avoid the bad beats. College football is a very, very hard sport, guys, to bet because you're betting on kids, and then you're also betting on big spreads sometimes and backdoor potential. Good beats only, good vibes only this weekend.
Let's have a massive week. Those are favorite picks of the weekend. Let us know yours down below in the description. 500 likes, you'll see me dressed as Shaggy. My wife's dressed as Scooby. She won't be in the video unless you get like 9 million likes, which ain't happening. But hey, let's have a great week. Good luck on all your picks this weekend, and we'll obviously have more picks for the NFL. And when those are live, I'll link them on the screen. Good luck. Let's have a great week. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.